Bravo, Pablo!
We have started our pilgrimage to Aya Markela from Kibotos, the orphanage on the top of Mount Epos. And so far, we've come this far in 20 minutes. You can see the windmills. Over there you can see Smirny and Jesmay. And now we're going to end up on top of the mountain here. Me and Eliseos.
Hold on a second, before we go any further, please subscribe, like, and comment. We need your subscription to help support this project. Your subscription is critical to the funding of this project, to the growth of this project, to helping people. So, before we get on with this video, please subscribe to the channel and share this video with your Facebook friends, your news feed, your stories, and wherever else you communicate on social. Thank you. Now let's get on with the video. Hello beautiful butterflies. Today I want to talk to you about the butterfly effect experiment and what it's about. It's about helping people. It's about loving people. It's about caring for strangers. Caring for other human beings. It's about changing the world through kindness. It's about positive feedback. It's about paying it forward. It's about contributing to society, global society. It's about spreading goodwill. It's about, let's see if we can change the world like a little butterfly with small acts of kindness that might grow exponentially and spread goodwill and kindness throughout the world. And I'm sure that many of you realize by now that I'm no longer on Wall Street, but that I've shifted, and some of you are unaware of the fact that I have changed my life completely and have basically become a humanitarian.
Cantar un rap sin hoy aquí estoy en Kios porque hoy estoy aquí con Marcos y Frank.
I just want to clear something up for my Greek American friends and my Islander friends. My humanitarian efforts are not about refugees. It's not about foreigners. It's not about these people you think are ruining your island. It's not about that. And it has never been. It's always been about human beings, about people, about men and women who need help, who are desperate for help. It didn't start here in Greece. And my project is not going to be dedicated to any one specific group. It started in New York. It started, if you think about it philosophically, it started way back. But practically, it started in New York after Wall Street. And after my eyes were open and I fell in intimately into this world of impoverished people, deeply impoverished people. And I started to really notice homeless people and poor people. It started basically in New York, dealing with the homeless in New York City, after whistleblowing at my company, and led to serving at soup kitchens and sourcing bread from bakeries and supplying 3 kitchens and individually delivering bread to the homeless at night with Marley for many years. It led to when I arrived in Chios, I quickly looked for something to do, and there wasn't far to look for that because of the refugee crisis here. And by the way, give me some credit for volunteering for asylum seekers and refugees, because let me tell you, on 9/11, that's not necessarily how I felt. or how anyone felt. And I doubt you'll find many people volunteering and helping people from the Middle East who were there that day and who had friends in the building and who were covered in dust and tears. Because the lesson here is the lesson I taught this man from Iraq. It's the same lesson. I told him, I said, hold on. Because he said, your country fucked my country. I said, hold on. I am Marcos. I'm here to help you, Amir. That's it, period. I am Marcos. I'm a human being, Marcos. And I'm here to help you, human being, Amir. I hope and I believe that, like the butterfly effect implies, that interaction changed his opinion of Americans, of human beings, etc. And maybe led him to think about things differently. I think that a good deed, somebody commits a good deed in another man's life, a complete stranger's life, that will affect that man. It will affect how he thinks about other humans. He won't think the world is evil. He won't think people are bad. He'll have hope. It'll give him hope in mankind. It could lead him to commit a good deed.
مارکوس یکی از دوستای خوب و صمیمی من هست.
Marcos is a good friend to me.
و من توی اون مدرسه از مارکوس زبان یاد گرفتم، باغبانی یاد گرفتم.
I learned some English from him at the language school, and I also learned gardening from him.
و حتی زمانی که الان من به فرانسه اومدم هنوز با هم در تماسیم و دوستی صمیمی با هم دیگه داریم.
Even when I arrived in France, which I am here now, we've been keeping in touch because we're good friends.
Marcos is not only my teacher, he is my friend and my brother. He helped me a lot at that difficult time in my life when I was in the camp. I don't have words to explain him.
And then there's one more reason why, one very important reason why I felt an obligation to help. And that is because of the fact that my father, Nicholas, was a child during World War II when this island, this is an island, was occupied by the Nazis. And the Nazis, there was World War II was underway, and the island was bled of its resources. And my family, my grandmother and my father, my Aunt Maria, my Aunt Poppy, my Uncle Adoni, and my Uncle George were starving to death. And at that point, my grandmother decided it was time to leave. And then they went to, guess where? Aleppo, Syria. You see the irony? Greeks were kept safe in Syria. Greeks were kept safe in Syria from the Nazis. I like to remind Greeks of this history of ours because my father's history as a refugee is a shared history for many Chiotes. Many of you who may be watching this video now have had relatives who were refugees at one point or another. And I just want you to know that my project is going to focus in Greece on all unemployed Greeks. And that will include some migrants with legal work status. But it will also include people impacted by COVID, regular Greeks, natural-born Greeks. It will help Greece. It will reduce crime in Greece. It will help to cure urban blight in Greece. It will help Greece, and it will help Greeks. So if you care about Greece, and it's scalable and expandable, and I plan to take it beyond Greece. My hope is that it will help to mitigate the strife caused by this migration crisis. And mitigating this migration crisis, denial is not a strategy. Denial, turning a blind eye, doesn't clear the blight. It's still there, even though you're not looking at it. It needs to be addressed. Out of the box thinking, working toward positive results for society, taking positive actions, progressive actions for the positive benefit of our society. We'll reduce crime in Greece, we'll cure urban blight, we'll reduce unemployment, we'll mitigate the migrant crisis, we'll cut down gangs and gang violence, and we'll boost the economy in Greece.
Nobody born to be refugees. Nobody chose to be refugees. But the situation makes us like that.
It will help the countries that receive these people, and it will help the countries that these people are coming from so that they won't have to leave. They'll have work at home. They won't have to leave. My hope is that to help make their countries places they want to stay. But it's not limited to them. And initially, it was planned to serve homeless, hard to employ people who are really hard to employ, and including ex-convicts to help break the cycle of incarceration, drug addicts, people who people don't want to give a job, to give these people a second chance at life. They deserve a second chance. People deserve a second chance. And if given a second chance, oftentimes these people will take full advantage of it. And I'm willing to give them that second chance. I discovered that when you're going through hard times, a little bit of success can really do a lot for the spirit. And sometimes all these people need is a little boost in spirit, a little stepping stone to get back on their way.
God, He give us two hands. One hand to help ourselves, the second to help people. You might not be able to change the world, but if you can help 1%, to that 1%, it could mean the world.
So how did George Floyd's death change the world? I think we can agree that the death of George Floyd was tragic, was horrific, and was criminal. But the butterfly effect of it may be beautiful. It may make for meaningful change for countless people in America and worldwide. You might say, well, it was Father's Day. You did what anybody would do. You went to be with your father for Father's Day. Right, but still that still doesn't change anything. My decision to not go with Stephen when he asked me for help, for the moment he asked me for help, for the exact help he wanted, my decision to say no, the result of that is Stephen is dead. That's the result of that. What we do matters. So, suppose someone's talking to you about suicide and seems imminent and they know how they're going to do it. They're asking you for help. Remember this story. Remember this story, because I'll never forget it. I'll never forget it. I'll never forget it, and it plays a role in how I act today. When somebody asks me for help, I help. And I spent 8 months volunteering without pay, 6 days a week, sometimes 7, teaching adult men from the Middle East and North Africa English and Greek. I founded a garden, the first such project in Chios for sure, possibly in Greece. I don't know about that, but definitely in Chios. Quickly emulated by every other NGO on the island. Initially shot down by some really bad decision makers, but I had to prove that it would cost zero, and then they realized how much money it was going to raise, because People love to donate to gardens, apparently. That's not why I created it. I created it because I know that gardening provides peace of mind and spirit, and that many of these people were traumatized from events that they witnessed in their countries. And I came to know a lot of them personally, and heard of stories of an agricultural engineer who had many hectares of land, who had to leave it behind because thugs were coming to him and demanding money from him and his family, raped his daughter, basically forced him to leave for the safety of his family. Everything behind. Very good people. I've come across many various types of people who, in one way or another, had to get out of Syria because of ISIS and had to go through ISIS territory and had to deal with the slaughter of their friends and neighbors and get the hell out of there. And we're talking about people from Eritrea who escaped serving in the army for a dictator for some unknown term, traveled through the Sudan desert day and night, at night, sleeping during the day for 8 days, starving for water, and getting to Libya, being kidnapped by very dangerous people, and being money demanded of them, or else a kidney or a liver, and finding their way to Chios. Or homosexual people from Middle Eastern countries that don't tolerate that at all, finding their way out of that situation. People who changed their religion or didn't believe in God at all, atheists, and were discovered, like a professor who was discovered for his atheism and homosexuality, and who had to leave his country or else face the slaughter that his parents faced as dissidents in Iran, political dissidents. Or the guy who came from Afghanistan, whose brother helped the Italian army in Afghanistan and put the rest of his family in jeopardy. There are so many different stories of how people survived and escaped from Palestine, from Iraq, from all these countries, Ethiopia, Somalia, some of them economic asylum seekers, not refugees. But who can blame them? Many of our own forefathers have done the same, right? And who can blame them for seeking a better life? Anyway, in my time serving these people, I found that the most important role I fulfilled was as an inspirer, an uplifter of them. Even though we were told not to make them promises, not to tell them things were going to be better, and stuff like that. But I think you know my nature. If you don't know my nature, I don't think it's really coming across in this video. But I make people laugh and smile, and I give them hope and spirit. And that was the big role I served. So people today call me their best friend, their big brother, and they still send me messages and call me from all over Europe today. And it's really nice to be able to call some of these people friends from all sorts of backgrounds and all different places I never expected to have friends from. My little brothers, remember that when you reach the top of the mountain, that's just one mountain. The next day, there's another mountain to climb. A man who doesn't keep progressing will regress. You cannot stand still. You either move forward or you move backwards. So when you get to the top of the mountain, go to the next one.
If he can support Marikos, he can help many people. He can save many people of life. Let us stand with him. Let us give him hope.
I walk around late at night with my dog and leave these bags wherever I saw. Wherever I saw homeless people. And so I did this for years and kept it secret. And now I'm telling you, And the reason I'm telling you is because I haven't told you, and now pretty soon I'm going to be asking you for money because I want to create an organization. And some people don't know anything about what I've been doing. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, what does a little white dog have to do with an NGO or a prospective NGO? Am I right? Well, I'll tell you, it has a lot to do with it. He's been with me all along the way through 7 years of delivering bread to homeless people, cheering them up. 7, 8 years, I don't know how many years, cheering them up. Many of those people got to know him and love him, really love him. And then here in Greece, he actually took part in a project with me. We volunteered at a project which was a house for families to come and take showers and to spend some quality family time together in comfort away from the camp. And they would pick up some clothes for themselves and the kids would play games and stuff. Marley, I thought this is great for me to bring Marley, because Marley was trained to be a service dog. And I always wanted to take him to hospitals for terminally ill children. And I haven't done that yet, but I think maybe I will. I think maybe I still will. But in Greece, I took him to the camp, not the camp, but this project near the camp. And the kids loved him. They loved him. They absolutely loved him. I had to watch over him though, because sometimes it would pick him up and drop him and run with him and stuff like that. I had to be careful. But he had a great time. And you know, like a year later, after being involved with that project, I heard a little kid on the street screaming at me, "Marley, Marley, Marley!" And I said, "Oh my God." And I stopped the bike and I went over and I saw this kid. He was a refugee. And he had a picture of Marley on his phone. On his phone. He said, "This is Marley." I said, "Yeah, this is Marley. How do you know Marley?" I didn't remember the kid. And he showed me a picture of him and Marley by himself and me and Marley. So every good team needs a mascot. Marley's my mascot and he's part of this team. And he's been an integral part. The world, this earth, is just a place where human beings live. And that our tribal nature causes us to choose sides, and we shouldn't do that anymore. We should be working toward being one team. And that's really my end goal. That's my end goal.
I should be looking where I'm driving.
No, you know the way.
This thing coming down, and it kept coming down, and it came down, and it came down closer and closer, and it landed on my chest, and it sat on my chest, and it was a butterfly. It was a butterfly. So, please subscribe, click the butterfly right here, and subscribe to the YouTube channel, because very interesting content is on its way. Stuff that you're going to want to see.